Hello there,
General Kenobi.
Welcome to It Starts with Star Wars. We are Joe, James, and Nick. We'll be talking all about Star Wars and other science fiction. Then we just see where the Force takes us. Now, there's a lot of negative things about the sequels, but today we want to focus on the good things about them and what they did well. Please follow our TikTok, our Instagram, our Twitch, and our YouTube. And let's get started.
But first, a versus. The versus for this week is Thanos from Marvel versus Darth Vader from Star Wars. I mean,
Bit of a crossover.
Well, you could kind of argue like Marvel wrote some of the Star Wars comics in sort of the early days, so you could kind of argue they could exist in the same universe.
They also did some Darth Vader comics as well, so it's kind of very on point.
Yeah. So I'll start with Nick. What do you think? What happens in this scenario?
Well, I think this is very, very evenly matched. They are both incredible villains with a lot of aura, and I think if it depends on which Thanos we're talking about. We're thinking Thanos with the Infinity Stones, or how we see him in Endgame without, because that's two very different Thanoses. And I have a different opinion on which one would win in either way. But I think we have to kind of analyse what both their fighting styles are and what they would do in certain situations. So, first of all, Joe, I don't know I don't know when was the last time you saw like the Endgame and Infinity War, but what's your
probably
opinion
when
on...
they came out, honestly. I haven't watched them since, I don't think. But I've always... I'm not all that familiar with kind of Marvel. I have watched a lot of the films, obviously. I feel like everyone has. But I always thought to myself that Thanos, he, to me, doesn't seem to have a reason for his OP-ness. Like, oh god, that's a terrible phrase. OP-ness. Oh no. There's no reason for him to be so powerful. He's a big guy, like, so he's like a big target. Don't get me wrong, he's probably strong because he's so big. But like, is there? I know it's like people got like genocided. I'm pretty sure, right? Is that the case?
Yeah.
Well, so. No, not. That's not strictly what happened. Are we talking about in the comics, or are we talking about in the actual films? Because I assume we're just talking about the film version. I'm just going off the films. Okay, so when in his conversation in Infinity War with Doctor Strange, he basically explains, their planet is losing its resources, and the planet is going to die. The planet is going to become unstable. You see it in Infinity War. Like, it's all just, the gravity's everywhere. It's all just gone haywire. And he saw what was coming, and he basically offered a solution, which was genocide. And obviously he got called a maniac, because you would. He's Space Hitler at the end of the day. And basically his planet didn't go with his suggestion, obviously, and the calamity came into fruition, and so that's what happened basically. His race didn't genocide, but they all just died out because they didn't do anything about what was coming.
Well,
was he a soldier or something? Like,
I think he starts as more of a diplomat, from what I can tell. You know,
I'm going to be honest, I have no idea. Shall I?
Yeah, why don't you look it up and see?
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so what always confused me about this situation, I'll probably need to read deeper into the comics, is how, killing half the population would have stopped all the gravitational issues happening to that planet. Like, he's like, I don't know if he does go all maniac and does try to genocide his own race to do it behind their back, and then he causes the calamity himself.
Well, I'd imagine it would be something like almost like microplastics or leaded petrol, like for us now in the current day, where it's like maybe they were trying experiments and stuff like that. And obviously, like, for instance, we know plastic's bad. Have we stopped making plastics? No, we're just going to continue to pump them into the environment. So it's like they might know it's like this progress is bad for them, but they're just like, yeah, fuck it.
But the problem I see here is, like, how does that chain stop? How does killing half the race? There's more resources, but how does that stop whatever catastrophe they did to their own planet?
I think it just slows it down.
It just slows it. It just slows
stops
it down, and it means that the planet has a chance to catch up. It was like when we had lockdown. The planet sort of healed because we weren't polluting everything.
That's
like
true.
dolphins returned to the rivers in Venice, and you could see the Himalayas from that Indian city because they weren't producing any pollution, because there was no smog. But I've got it here. Thanos was a warlord. He wasn't a soldier.
He was a warlord.
Yeah,
Okay.
he wasn't a soldier. He just had like misguided ideals.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
But anyway, the reason why obviously they got different motives, Darth Vader and Thanos, but the reason I thought Endgame and Infinity War was because Infinity War, he doesn't really you don't really see that he has many like physical fighting skills because he relies solely on the Infinity Gauntlet, and that is completely different in Endgame. And there is a lore kind of explanation for this, is that he's got multiple Infinity Stones connected to his like bloodstream, which takes a massive toll on his body, which is why he's not necessarily that physical in Infinity War, and he relies on the Infinity Stones so that he can. So that's basically why his fighting style is so heavily reliant, because his body is just taking in a lot.
Yeah.
And then in Endgame, we see how strong physically he is. But the thing is, in Endgame, he, as we see from his fight one-on-one with what's her face, Elizabeth Olsen's character, Scarlet Witch. He is so susceptible and really easily beaten by magical stuff that's less dealt with like physical stuff, which is what Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America were really struggling with in their fight just before everyone is snapped back, if that makes sense. Or everyone is snapped back at that before they all arrive. Do you know what I mean? So I think
so just to kind of make things clear, are we talking about Thanos with he obviously can't have all the Infinity Stones, otherwise he'd just click Darth Vader out of existence, but with Infinity Stones or none? This
is what I think. I think Darth Vader it would be evenly matched with the Infinity Gauntlet. Completely evenly matched. I think Darth Vader takes it if it's just Thanos with his double-edged sword or whatever it is. Yeah. Because he could just, as we saw in Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Just, bye mate, see you later. and Thanos would have to like rain fire and have to get help. If it was a one-on-one battle, Vader takes that instantly because he's got aura.
Can I just cut in here? Doesn't Vader take it either way? Because wasn't the main thing they were trying to do at the end of Infinity War was to get the gauntlet off, but they couldn't pull it off? Vader force pull gauntlet straight off.
Yeah, that's true.
That's at the end. That's at the end of Endgame.
The stones out the gauntlet.
That's at the end of Endgame.
Yeah,
that's not at the end of Infinity War.
No, I'm talking about when at Infinity War, when freaking Guardians of the Galaxy Chris decides to start Star-Lord's punching him. You killed my girlfriend, and then they're trying to get the gauntlet off, and then they're like they can't do it, and then and then Doctor Strange says only one way to save the galaxy. That shit's going down.
I'm not quite sure what you're saying.
No,
what do you mean?
That scene before the first snap happens, Spider-Man's like, I don't feel right, Mr. Stark. Before that happens, they're trying to get the gauntlet off, and they almost get it off.
Yeah.
And then Star-Lord starts punching Thanos, and then he snaps out of the trance he's in, and then that's when he does the snap. But Darth Vader, in that same situation, would just be like, force pull, stones out, or force pull gauntlet physically off, and then lightsaber. And then it would just be back to double-edged sword versus lightsaber. So, I
think when was the last time you saw Infinity War?
5 years ago.
Yeah, so there's a big difference of time between them having that scene and the snap, because Thanos does a snap in Wakanda. He doesn't do it on Titan.
Yeah,
so he hasn't got all the Infinity Stones at that point.
Thanos has to be aware of the situation. He's got to know what he can't just. He can snap half of reality at random, but if he snapped half of reality at random and he doesn't snap Vader in that, You know, unless he's doing a because we know he has to target something physically if he wants it to affect it. So if he doesn't know about Vader coming and Vader just shows up, infinity pools. Like,
so, are you saying like it is a Russian roulette? Like,
yeah, it's a Russian.
So
it is.
He does the snap and he just kind of hopes that Darth Vader disappears.
Exactly.
And if not, he's just like, oh shit.
I do agree with you though, James. I do think Vader takes it either way, because I feel like Vader. You know when Iron Man threw that thing that stopped him closing his fist, so he couldn't use the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
I feel like Vader would do that with the Force. I'd feel like he'd do something to the Infinity Gauntlet that meant that he couldn't do anything with it, and then just strike him down with his lightsaber.
Yeah,
I think that a Force pull him forward, like with his, and then like that. I think it would be.
I still feel like a Force pull of all the stones straight out of the gauntlet would probably like solve the issue, like right there and then. It's like, oh, you've got a chunk of metal in your hand, like the like Iron Man in Endgame, where it's like, haha, I've got them, and then we end up with Vader lightsaber infused with Infinity Stone.
I think the difference is, I'm just going to continue debating this because I think it's quite interesting, but also you've got to bear in mind the different gauntlets that they had. Like that gauntlet they had in Endgame, that Iron Man pulled off the was an adaptable one that was adapted to Hulk size, adapted to Thanos size, adapted to Iron Man's size. And it also meant that the stones can be pulled out. Like, knowing Iron Man, Tony Stark learned from all his mistakes. So the fact that they couldn't get the Infinity Stones out of the gauntlet that the dwarf made on the star that Thor ran into, when they went to make Stormbreaker. Do you know which bit I'm talking about?
Yeah, where you have a certain Game of Thrones star showing up for like
yeah. So those Infinity Stones weren't coming out of that. And I think that's something that Tony learned from. They couldn't get the stones out, which is why they tried to get the glove off. This is not confirmed lore. This is just in my own head. I'm not entirely sure what was going on. But it feels like they had to get in Infinity War. They had to get the glove off. They had to get the gauntlet off because they couldn't get the stones out. Otherwise, it would have just got the stone. Otherwise, it would have just got the stones out. And in Endgame, we see Tony just take the stones with his own armor. So I feel like you've got to bear in mind the gauntlet that he's using. I don't think that it's just as simple as pulling the stones out. I know it's Darth Vader, but I don't think it's that simple.
I'm gonna counteract you there, Nick. I think it was mostly the reason you can't physically touch an Infinity Stone without dying and getting vaporized. But if you're touching it with the Force, you're not physically touching it, unless we're now stating that, you know, by touching the stones with the Force is going to somehow create a conduit between you and the stone and therefore vaporize you.
That would be very funny as well, just to watch Darth Vader.
But it would be interesting. But I think, you know, Force pulling the stones out would be like, you know, using Tony's glove is in the same way. Force pull them out, you're not physically touching, you're not going to vaporize. The reason they didn't touch them was because, you know, Star-Lord is well aware what happens when you touch an Infinity Stone. He can hold on to one.
That is very true. Time. However, why did Doctor Strange and Iron Man and Spider-Man, who all had armor on, why did they not take them out the gauntlet then? Do you not think that would have crossed their mind? That's what I'm trying to say is both. So you got the gauntlet in Infinity War. You've got the Iron Man made gauntlet in Endgame. One of them is designed to keep them in. The gauntlet in Infinity War is designed to keep them in. The Endgame one is I feel like Iron Man designed it because he learns from all his mistakes, as you see from all the films. So that they can be taken out if need be. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that they wouldn't have just done it because they know what happens to them. Iron Man still had his Iron Man suit. Spider-Man had the Iron Spider suit. Doctor Strange could have taken it out with using magic. I don't think it's that simple. One of them is going to be designed for keeping them in. One of them, and then the other one is taken. That's just what I'm getting from what's in there. It's up to you, your interpretation of it. But I don't think that's what I'm trying to say. Is it's not as simple as just Force pulling it out.
Okay, for Force hold cut his hand off like with the goal. I mean, have you seen that? Have you seen how it should have ended of Infinity War, where it's like, you should have aimed for the head. No, I aimed for something better, and he looks down. Oh, dang it!
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I'm just counteracting you because I like debating this. But I do agree with you. I think Vader takes it. I think Vader is too intelligent and just aura. He's got an incredible amount of force power that doesn't rely on a gauntlet.
Yeah.
That's built in him.
No, I'd 100% agree. I think Vader takes this because it does kind of. I get that Thanos is meant to be like big brain as well, but like he even though he does take on the Avengers and all that, like he's just a big guy. That's really all he is.
He's just Hulk.
A big dude.
He's just Hulk strength. That he's Hulk.
Hulk strength with intelligence.
Yes, yeah. Hulk strength with he's Professor Hulk.
Yeah, he doesn't actually have any abilities apart from like when he's got stuff in the gauntlet. So I don't know.
I think if Vader was in the frame of mind where he is when he's fighting Obi-Wan, because you see in the Obi-Wan show, we see in on the Mustafar battle, we see in the training in the Obi-Wan show, when he's going up against Obi-Wan, he constantly feels like he has something to prove. If he's got that kind of mindset and Thanos kind of manipulates him and talks to him in a way that kind of sets him in that mode, I think he would start relying on just his physical abilities. And I'm going to be honest, in that scenario, I think Thanos takes it. Especially if it's Infinity Gauntlet version.
Well, because he could snap Vader's lightsaber into bubbles and like do a load of things like or really you know, if we're talking about a Thanos that knows Anakin and knows who, like if we're saying like in this like analogy, Thanos is well aware of Vader and who he was and everything, like he's done his research. He could snap Padme into existence, and that would really throw Vader out.
That'll be a visual. They'll be like, "What? How do I get this?"
You know, he could snap Padme back into existence and like really like throw everything out of the water, and that would throw Vader.
Yeah.
And in that moment,
he could snap her back out again.
Yeah. It's that really messed up Rick and Morty episode where the ship brings back the loved one, and then the child just melts in front of the soldier. Do you know what I'm talking?
Oh, Anakin, I love you. It's been so long.
Please don't hurt the purple bro.
But yeah, I think, you know, that's the only time.
No.
And Thanos doesn't care about people. The only person he cares about is Gamora. And like, you know, especially like he says it, Scarlet Witch, "You took everything from me.
I don't even know
who you are."
And it's sort of like that's Thanos' level of caring. So he's not going to physically research Vader, unless Vader has like been gunning for him for ages.
Yeah, and I feel like because that's the. No, go on.
No, I feel like Vader doesn't announce that he's going after someone. He's just like, I'm going after that person, and I'm going to get them. It's his presence, his entrances as well. Like, you know, everything goes dark, and Thanos is like, what the fuck goes on? You know, hold the gauntlet when he tries to click. Lightsaber slash, mine. Yeah. Crush the gauntlet.
I think something to bear in mind here is actually a new thing that's come in my mind is Thanos. You can tell Thanos knows Tony Stark. He says, "Stark, you know me? I do." Like, Tony Stark he's made himself known throughout the galaxy from the
nuke,
from when he put a nuke through a wormhole back in the first Avengers film, and probably in Age of Ultron as well. That probably rung out through the galaxy in some way from Thor. I don't know. So Thanos knows Tony. If Vader and Thanos, for some reason, were in the same universe, whether Darth Vader's in the Marvel universe or Thanos is in the Star Wars universe, they're gonna know about each other. They're gonna know in some way about each other. They're gonna have some level of understanding of each other's aura. Like, Thanos has an immense amount of respect for Tony. As we find out in Infinity War, he has Thanos' respect. And I think Thanos he's intelligent enough to play it right, if that makes sense. But at the same time, he does just rely on physical abilities. He doesn't necessarily try to manipulate Stark in any way. He's just like, I'm stronger than you. So it's difficult to say, but I still think Darth Vader takes it because Darth Vader has more at his arsenal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does really depend on the state of Thanos, to be fair. Like, if he's got everything, then Darth Vader's doomed. Yeah. There's no way. But really? I mean, if it's just like Thanos with no gauntlet, with nothing, Thanos is just fucked. There's no way he's winning. But and then it gets kind of interesting when you start giving him stones.
Yeah. So this is where I put it. If it's Thanos versus if it's Darth Vader versus Thanos Endgame, I think Darth Vader easily wins. I think if it's Thanos with all the Infinity Stones versus Darth Vader, I think it's evenly matched.
And I'm going to say it's all Russian roulette either way. I'm still going to argue like it really depends on how much research either one has done about each other.
Yeah.
And it also depends. For me, like, you can argue that the Marvel universe and the Star Wars universe are already saying because Marvel wrote the Star Wars comics, and Star Wars is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
They didn't write all the Star Wars comics. They did a series.
No. They wrote a few different. I can't remember how many series they've done, but they've written quite a few, not just the Vader one. The reason I know this is because I bought a few of the Star Wars comics from a while ago, but not the Star Wars, the Vader series.
Yeah.
But this is where you get some really cool things. But this, some of the Marvel comics, I believe, don't you can fact check me on this. Is why some of the legends had to be changed. I can't remember if it was in one of the Marvel comics, but where Chewie dies.
Is that where he gets hit by the moon?
Something like I'm not sure if that's one of the Marvel ones, but it may be. But they also did like the Ewok comics and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is that Marvel was writing like Thanos into existence at same time they're writing Star Wars, so they already you can kind of say are the same universe. But Star Wars happens a long time ago, and Star Wars is and Marvel's happening now. So it's essentially Star Wars is ancient history for Thanos. So unless you could argue Thanos goes back in time and gets stuck in the Star Wars universe, but and maybe when Infinity Stone, like in an alternate ending, like he's like, oh, I'm going to escape, I can't win this, snaps himself out of there instead of like and gets stuck in a Star Wars reality, and that's how things happen. And then maybe he's trying to build his army against the Empire, maybe pretends to be a good guy to helps the rebels for a bit, and then we end up with this like Empire rebels, Vader leading the Empire. I mean, I'd like this. I think this would be cool.
Cool. Oh yeah, I think it'd be quite cool to see as well. Shall we take a vote?
Okay.
Yeah, let's go for the vote.
Go on. Should me and James go first, and then Joe last?
Joe goes last. Yeah. Okay, you go.
Go on, James.
I'm going to say Vader. I'm going to say Vader takes it.
I'm also going to say...
Unless the rebels are backing Thanos, and then maybe and then Luke's like helping him, but by themselves, I'm going to say Thanos loses.
Yeah, I'm going to say Darth Vader as well. I think Darth Vader. Me and James are in agreement. What is going on?
Yeah. Surprise. I'm also going to agree. I'm going to say Darth Vader, but this is me going off kind of base Thanos. And again, like we said, it does change the more stones and the different scenarios and stuff like that.
I still think Darth Vader
in general. Yeah, I think Darth Vader takes it.
Yeah,
I still think Darth Vader versus Thanos with all the Infinity Stones. I still think he outdoes him.
Yeah, unless he's like found out, about Anakin and Padme. And in my eyes, that's the only way Thanos takes it. Is like projects Padme into existence and then throws Vader into like turmoil. And that's in my thought, that's the only thing that could possibly happen.
It's main event time!
Yay! So, the main event, we're going to be talking about what these sequels did right, which is a very controversial topic. I'm sure
it is.
We're going to have plenty of arguments.
Yeah, well, the thing is, as you guys know, I'm not a huge fan of the sequels, but there are things that they did do correctly. And something that I wanted to do for a while now is just go back into the sequels now, because I haven't watched them all the way through since they were released. I think you did a while back, Joe, but I wanted to go in with it with a different kind of expectation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I did that, and that's what gave me the idea for doing this one doing.
This is so out of character for you. Like
Yeah.
from the previous arguments that I would say we've had. We haven't had too many arguments, but you and Ben particularly, you making a whole segment, a whole podcast praising the sequels. That's crazy.
So yeah, before we go into this, I I put this right at the end of this segment, but I might as well put it now. I went into this with zero expectations and just like looking at what they did correctly. Even with that, like I actually saw a lot of positive things about The Rise of Skywalker and The Force Awakens. I'm sorry to anyone who has ever argued that the Last Jedi is a good film. I'm sorry, it is. It is so bad. The story just does not work, and there's sorry. I'm not going to get into that. It's fine. We'll get onto that later. It's such a bad film.
We kind of settled with Ben. At least my general opinion is it's a bad Star Wars film. If it was a standalone or if it was, in a different franchise, it would be a decent film. But, it just completely goes against everything that's come before it. And then obviously the following film then tries to recorrect the line. So it just makes things just the worst.
Here's my thing on that. I went in because obviously you've seen me and Ben argue about this for hours on end.
Yeah.
But I went in with this with that mindset in it, and I still completely disagree with Ben. I don't think the story works, even outside of Star Wars. I just think it's a shit film. Like it's when you're watching a really bad, like for example the Last Airbender film that came out that is notoriously a terrible. I was watching it and it was the same thing that I thought back then, because I remember that film is so stuck in my mind of just like, oh, this is a shit film. It was the first time that I'd ever thought that, and I had the exact same reaction watching this film. Like there were things and there was dialogue happening in it, and there was story decisions in it that I was like, oh, this is actually shit.
When it comes to Last Jedi, I honestly think if I would have loved to have seen like a potential what the story would have been in the third one if they hadn't tried to correct the because it's like Empire Strikes Back if they hadn't like a load of people, when you see the reactions of Empire, they sort of look at each other like, did we see a whole film? I'm very confused. Like it wasn't the glorious film that it is now and considered, like, because the third one hadn't come out, the trilogy hadn't been complete. But it's like, how do you take a trilogy, do something really weird in the second film and then completely contradict it in the third one? And a film that's bad can be made better by its sequel if the sequel pays off the things that you did.
Yeah.
But if you take away the conclusion of a story, it's like, I was listening to a talk of a fantasy writer that Sarah really loves, and he was saying like, I promised my audience that I was taking them to this place, and I took them to this place instead, and people complained because they're like, you said we were going on a quest to here, but you went on a side quest and said we were listening for the main quest.
Yeah,
and I 100% agree. Last Jedi has a lot of flaws. The casino stuff doesn't really pay off. The guy, that's obviously going to be a bad guy, turns out to be a bad guy. The bomber squadron stuff at the beginning, where they basically turn Poe into the bad guy.
Phasma dying.
Yeah.
What the hell was that about?
Yeah, there's a lot of problems, but those problems.
I found two good things about that film. Okay. One of which I'm going to let Joe take, because he's much more in on this kind of thing than me and you are. But the other thing is the fact that Rey came from nothing.
Yeah,
and
I like that.
Ended up as the good person. And ended up as a good person. And Kylo Ren and Kay had everything. He had Han Solo, he had Luke Skywalker, he had Leia, he had Chewbacca, he had everything growing up. And still got turned to the dark side. Like he had everything going for him. Like, I think that's amazing, because you so often get the good guys praised so much, but they grew up like Hercules grew up with everything.
Yeah. And
then Hades is he's been forced to be the bad guy his entire life. Like that's such a common thing. I did like the fact that the person who came from nothing and was just a good person Even though they had nothing, they were abused for years. Like Ray was on Jakku and was basically a slave her entire life, but still ended up being a good person. I like that. I think that was cool. But everything else that happens around the story is...
They should have got Ryan Johnson to direct the trilogy.
That would have been interesting. Yeah.
Because then it would make more sense, because like, I think he had an interesting... take, and I think the main problem with it is the fact that it's like the middle film, and obviously he's got nothing to do with the previous film. So if he did like continue on with all three, I think that could have been a really interesting trilogy. However, I do have a gripe and a grudge against Ryan Johnson.
Oh, why?
Yeah, I was about to bring this up.
I think he might be the most overrated director right now, like in general.
Okay. What else did he direct other than the Star Wars?
He did Looper. He did Looper, which is fine. It's an alright film. He did the Star Wars film. He's done Glass Onion,
Knives Out.
Yeah. Which again, I enjoyed Glass Onion, the sequel. That was like a decent film, but Knives Out, I thought Knives Out was just really meh. Everyone loves it, and I enjoyed the characters in that.
Yeah, I rewatched that about 6 months ago, and I agree with you.
yeah, it's just a really meh film. I do want the series to continue because I like Daniel Craig and I like his character. But honestly, Ryan Johnson, not directing wise, I think his directing's fine. Ryan Johnson, writing weak, very weak. Also, it's quite funny that we started the segment with what the sequels did right and then just shit on him for 15 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Let's move on, shall we? This next thing, this is one of the good things about like The Last Jedi, and it has nothing to do with Ryan Johnson. So, Joe, do you want to take this one?
Well, yeah, I think it did have something to do with Ryan Johnson, to be fair, because like how his movies look is definitely not one of my complaints with them. Like they look decent. However, specifically with The Last Jedi, that best looking Star Wars film, hands down. Like
I think he's okay. Just to not confuse anyone, because you can't see what we've got written in front of us. We're talking about the visual effects and it being very pleasing to look at.
Yeah, sorry, but yeah, just saying, yeah, visually, God. Can anyone really debate the fact that that is the best looking film?
It does look nice. It does really look nice. It does go to some beautiful places.
Yeah, even though some of the scenes we see don't make sense in a story capacity, like the Holdo maneuver.
Yeah,
it does look pretty.
It does look cool. It
does look very, very cool.
When I was watching that in the cinema, I was just like, this doesn't make any sense. This is stupid, but fucking hell, this looks cool. God damn it, I can't fight this. That looks sick.
I get you.
Do you think there's a way that they could have explained it better, rather like the rebels have been developing a bomb to do that, like a hyperspace bomb, and that's what they developed, and it was a top secret project.
There are ways to do anything any director wants in the Star Wars universe, but you just have to talk to people who know the Star Wars universe. People like Sam Witwer, people like Dave Filoni. You've just got to you've got to talk to them first. That's it. It's as simple as that.
That would have made more sense, to be honest, because of the availability of ships and slip space or like hyperdrives or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, now in the Star Wars universe, we've proven that, like, obviously it's going to be on different scales depending on the size of the ship. You can just hold or maneuver anything. That seems so strategically effective. Where, like you said, James, if they made it a bomb, like an experimental hyperspace bomb, that would make so much more sense, because it now is only this one specific thing that can do it. And, you know, because surely once someone sees that, everyone's just like, right, we're
all do it.
Coining the Holdo maneuver, let's just all do it. Kamikaze, World War II, Japan style. And let's start flying ships into bigger ships.
The interesting thing is, like, the concept of the Holdo maneuver scientifically actually is like forgive me here, because obviously we don't have fast and light technology, but if you fired something at a fast and light speed it would just disintegrate anything it hit.
Yeah.
So realist, like, I was watching a documentary about, if an alien race existed, what are the ways they'd use to fight us? They wouldn't send a huge fleet. That would be a waste of time. Just fire a beam of light at light speed, not a beam of light. Like, so if they fired anything at light speed, it would just disintegrate our planet.
Yeah.
But it's we don't really know how the technology in Star Wars works, the hyperspace technology, because a warp core in Star Trek, we know is like, it's a nuke. It's basically a nuke. It literally is, because in Strange New Worlds, the first of the new Star Treks to come out, that people are like, oh my god. In the first episode, they go for first contact to meet a race that develop a warp core, and they're the first race to ever develop a warp bomb. So they've instead of building the warp drive to go fast and light, they've turned the tech into a bomb. And basically this thing would just like nuke an entire parsec, entire area of space.
Oh, wow.
And it's just to wipe out their own planet, like, okay, because they're having their own sort of World War III scenario going on. But it's interesting. So like, the concept, like, to get that really cool visual effect, you could have easily explained it in like, we built this as a failsafe, or the Empire has so many stupid weapons. Like, I love the concept of the hyperspace tracker, actually, because that was one thing in Star Wars that the rebels can always get away. They can do the fast maneuver, and then they're out of there. But actually developing a tracking tech was a cool idea. And
it's a good idea. Yeah, I'll give you that. I didn't write that down. That's pretty good.
Have you seen Battlestar Galactica?
Yes, I have seen Battlestar Galactica.
Very long time ago. It's too long for me to really remember it.
Would recommend rewatching it. Yeah. But the first episode of the series is called 33, I want to say. And basically, every 30 minutes, so the civilian fleet that's like fleeing jumps away, and then they've got 30 minutes until the Cylons show up, because they're tracking them, and it takes them basically that exact time to recharge their hyperdrives. So they're just like jumping, seeing if the Cylons have tracked them, and then they jump in. They're just like, oh shit, and they're just watching the hyperdrives charge. But I think that's quite cool. That would have been quite a cool element where obviously they could have done that, where they keep jumping, and then the Empire just like jumps in, and they're like, oh fuck, jump, and they just keep jumping. But obviously, I don't really know what Holdo's plan was exactly, apart from to fly to a planet and then pretend to be dead. I don't know. Like you said, the story doesn't really make all that much sense. But,
there's a ton of things in it that you can kind of see where they were going with. Like, Poe isn't an admiral, so he shouldn't have the clearance to certain things. So I kind of get that, but I also don't understand why, if you're in a life or death situation, you wouldn't share with your team what the hell's going on. Like, because there are plenty of times, that sort of, you've gained trust of your troops. There's plenty of generals in history that, have not told, Operation Market Garden completely failed, and things like that. And, so Poe has every right to be like, what the fuck's going on, man? From a military perspective, it's sort of like, it's stupid, but you can kind of see why. But then, like, oh, we're going to a planet and we're just going to like base camp on the planet, and then I'm going to like fly my ship and kamikaze it once you're all safe. Like, it's really hard.
Well, here's the thing: like, you can't outthink an octopus, and the octopus in this scenario is Dave Filoni, and I feel like he thinks of all this stuff, and that happens within the Star Wars universe. And I feel like if you have someone like Rian Johnson, who doesn't, you got to know Star Wars first to be able to change it. You can't just, I'm given this complete franchise, I'm just going to do what the hell I want with it. You've got some level of responsibility to the fans that already exist.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting too far onto it, but yes, they are very visually pleasing.
We're meant to be complimenting it, and we've just turned to shitting on it. And that probably is what this podcast is going to turn into. Is
it's for now. That's my only gripe with it. Okay, I
was just going to say, this proves what divisive films they are, because we're supposed to be, singing its praises.
Compliments.
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to find the positive. Like, I really love, like I said, I love the hyperspace tracking, and the visual effect of that ship hitting the other ship was amazing. Yeah. But there's got to be a way of explaining it rather than breaking the tech.
The planet crate. That's a genius idea. I love that. The salt top planet. Layer and then the red dirt. That because like again visually that looks incredible. It looks so clean and and obviously they ran with that theme for the poster as well.
Yeah, the visual effects are brilliant. Yeah,
I love that joke though. A load of people diss on it, but the one joke of the guy like he just lips it and like just because you think it's another snowy planet. Oh, it's half, and he's like salt.
Sticks in his mouth immediately.
I don't know why, but I will give Last Jedi that always tickles me. Like he's just like that one random extra. I want to film about that one random extra.
I think that guy. I want to say it's either him or the guy next to him is it Gareth Evans or Edwards? Which one's who did Rogue One?
Oh,
no idea. The same guy did Andor. So, but that's the thing. Like,
no, it's is
it not?
No, it's not.
Oh.
No, definitely not.
It was, wasn't it?
No,
okay. All right.
I think it's either Gareth Edwards or Gareth Evans. I think Gareth Evans did the raid. So I'm gonna say Gareth Edwards.
What a film.
Him or the guy next to him is Gareth Edwards. So the guy who directed Rogue One.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Should we move on? We can agree the VFX in the sequels looks amazing.
Yeah.
The next, I don't know if you guys have noticed this in The Rise of Skywalker. If your favorite character is C-3PO, I would not be surprised if The Rise of Skywalker is your favorite film, because although, like you said a second ago, it does kind of try to retcon everything that happened in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
The C-3PO scenes are better than the original trilogy and the prequel ones combined. Like every single
give him more story and more details.
But it's not just more. It's not just that. It's done well. Like this, I think this is a really good thing about the Rise of Skywalker. Although he's still technically, I guess, a side character. Like he's not like Han and Leia and Luke in Empire Strikes Back. He's not Rey, Poe, Finn in Rise of Skywalker, but the content that he's in is executed stunningly. Like everything, like every little bit of humor, like it I couldn't help but have a little chuckle whenever he opened his mouth. Like for example, I put a few lines in here. It's when they're checking that everyone's all right when they first get to the sand planet in Rise. I can't remember what planet it is. I do apologize, but when Poe is like, Rey, Finn, is everyone here? You didn't say my name, sir, but I'm all right. And I was like, that's fair enough. And I can't remember what they were saying this to, but irony, sir, or anything like. Yeah, it's just. And when they're talking about, when he's talking about, he's read the Sith translation, and they're like, I can't. My program forbids me to say the Sith language. It lives only on in my memory, sir. And they're like, only on in my memory. And then they all look at each other like that. It's quite clear that they need to break into, and it's done well. It's so difficult for me to explain it, but it's really, really good.
Comic timing is brilliant for him.
Yeah,
like,
we need to crack this droid's head open. Pardon me. It's great.
They missed a trick though, where because obviously he has they reset him to speak the Sith language, and his eyes go red. I would have loved for evil C-3PO. Like I would have actually loved for him to be like. Come here, Jedi scum! I'm going to crush you. I guess like a really deep evil voice.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny is that obviously I'm going to come back to Rebuild the Galaxy because it's so stupid, such a stupid film, but I love it so much. And we had the bounty hunter C-3PO in that where he's got I'm just like I kind of like that. I kind of like the evil C-3PO.
Yeah. Yeah,
how dare
and
you?
Especially after the mind wipe when Poe is just acting with him as he normally does. It's like, how dare you? We've only just met. Yeah,
yeah.
And then when everyone's shooting at them, it's every day like this for you people.
I do think it was a bit of a cop out the fact that he got his memory back at the end. That would have been like, because I don't need any main character dying or anything to satiate my thirst for blood, but like it would have been nice for there to actually have been
consequences.
A cost.
Yeah.
But
that is the one thing about the sequels that people do have a bit of a gripe with, is that Rey never really has any character development. She constantly wins everything.
Yeah.
And then so I get that. I would have liked there to been a cost as well. Yeah, go on.
I'm gonna just continuously hijack this podcast to give my takes on.
No, please do.
Primarily The Last Jedi, because it's obviously the one everyone talks about. But they should, or just the trilogy in general, should have had, in my books, Kylo Ren and Rey slowly swap sides. So I know you were just talking about, like, you know, how you like the fact that, like, Rey came from nothing, like impoverished and rough childhood, and still turned out to be the good person. I think it would have been quite cool for Kylo to have been redeemed, and then Rey to slowly turn to the dark side. And that's kind of where I thought they were going for a bit, where Rey gets into the Sith hole.
Yeah, I mean, that was interesting. I mean, again, Rebuild the Galaxy, we see that Sith Ray with a double lightsaber.
I'm going to keep my hand up.
You're not allowed to answer the question. We've had spoken enough. No, go on.
That was their plan. That was J.J. Abrams' plan. Just
that would have been great. That would have been so good.
And that was the reason. That was the thing that signed Adam Driver on to do it. Like, it was the fact that we're going to do something different. We're going to do it so the two characters kind of cross over, and you start off rooting for Rey, but you end up rooting for Kylo Ren. And that was because Adam Driver was kind of like the way Chris Evans was about Captain America when he first joined, because he didn't want to do it at first. And that was the thing that brought Adam Driver onto it.
That's kind of where I first saw Adam Driver. And if we're going to say anything good about these series of films, the actors that they got, I have absolutely no problems with.
The cast are insane. You got the original trilogy cast in there, fantastic. You got Daisy Ridley is an incredible actress. I don't know what other stuff you've seen her in, but she is absolutely stunning in it. She's a brilliant, brilliant actress. John Boyega, we
all love John Boyega.
John Boyega's fantastic. He did sort of say recently that
he wants to keep his distance from Star Wars now, right? Isn't that
he kind of called out fans for being racist, and I'm like, but we're not all like he said, like, all Star Wars fans are racist, and I was like, did he? I don't know. This was the thing that he said.
Say all.
He said, I think that's the kind of fans he's seen, and I think he's kind of lumped people like you and me in to it. And Star Wars Theory did a video on this recently. I know you got, and James, I know you don't like Star Wars Theory. I'm kind of getting onto your level with him a little bit. I'm getting a bit tired of it because he kind of slated Andor a little bit, and I don't agree with that. But I sort of agree with what he said. Like, we were rooting for John Boyega. We wanted more out of Finn. We thought we were going to be a Jedi. We agreed that his character was not treated very well. I don't think any of the actors' characters were treated very well. I think Oscar Isaac is brilliant. And we I think the best acting range we've seen, I don't know if you guys remember Moon Knight, but like,
I love that.
I haven't seen it, but I remember it.
What a series that was.
And if you want to see, where's my season 2? Yeah.
If you want to see Oscar Isaac in one project showing his entire range, oh my God, Moon Knight is so good. Like, so, and Adam Driver, we've seen him in some incredible stuff, and I still think in this his acting is really, really good. And he does
would go
everything.
As far to say that, I think Kylo Ren is probably the best, or at least Adam Driver turns out at the end of that series to be my favorite character, and that is obviously, like, in big part due to how Adam Driver plays Kylo Ren.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, casting is incredible. The casting of these films is absolutely undeniably wicked. Like, there's no doubt about it.
Okay, so I decided to look up the exact words that John Boyega said, And he says, let me tell you, Star Wars has always had a vibe of being in the most whitest elite space. It's a franchise that's so white that a black person existing in it was something. John Boyega said in a documentary, you can always tell something when Star Wars fans try to say, well, it had Lando Calrissian, it had Samuel L. Jackson. It's like you telling me chocolate chip it's like telling me how many chocolate chip cookies are in cookie dough, and it's like they just scattered it in there. Like, bro. I mean, that's kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily against that, because it is a contentious running joke. Obviously, it's like not the most politically correct joke, but I do find it funny. The fact that, there's this Star Wars. Oh no, all my lights are going out. Oh Jesus Christ, it's all coming apart.
No,
but like the fact that there is like just one black guy per trilogy, I think that's kind of funny. Like it's like, even though it doesn't really make any sense, because obviously the galaxy's so massive and so diverse. I mean, obviously in recent property or recent things, they've definitely like increased the different races and stuff like that, which is good. More inclusivity is a good thing. But I mean, I at least find that funny. But I don't think John Boyega's wrong in this scenario.
No, he's kind of not, though. Like, he's like, he's right, like saying that, it has Lando, it has Samuel L. Jackson. That's two people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, arguably...
It also has aliens in it, so I think you've got to look at it in two ways. Yes, you're correct, but you've got to also look at the fact that it is in space and there's aliens and stuff. But to be fair, there is a lot of white people as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of white people. And to be fair, he then goes on to say... they're okay with us playing the best friend, but once we touch their heroes, once we lead, once we trailblaze, like, oh my god, it's just a bit too much. They're pandering.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I don't agree.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think I think
Like,
we were rooting. We wanted him.
More.
We wanted more of John Boyega.
But
The Force Awakens, he was one of the main characters. One of the best things about that film.
I think what I'm going to say here comes down to Disney playing to the audience of China, and the big thing that happened. Do you remember what happened?
In the poster, they minimized him.
He was really big on our poster, and in China, he was made into a tiny little, basically cut from the poster entirely. So Disney kept playing to China, which was really because they're like, our biggest market is China, and it's like, why are you doing that? I thought you're supposed to be encouraging this, this change. And there was a lot of white suits involved in the sequels, which may be like why it looks visually beautiful, but then is sort of a mess. There were too many cooks. There were too many cooks with the sequels.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Just a side funny thing. Have you seen? I might cut this out. Have you seen that video of this guy's in China who's wearing like an Iron Man mask? And he goes up to this Chinese couple, and he's like, "Rah!" And the Chinese couple don't even like bat an eyelid; they're just like looking at him. And then he takes off his mask, and it's a black guy, and they're like, "Ah!"
So what you're saying is all Chinese people are racist? Is that what you're saying,
Yeah, basically,
Joe?
that's exactly what I'm saying. No, I mean, no, that's definitely not the case. But however, there is.
There's some level of truth to what John is saying, but I do think that last statement that you read out, James, is a bit. I don't necessarily agree with that.
That's too much. I don't agree with that one.
But I think the difference is John Boyega is British and we're British too, so we have this sort of British mindset behind us. You can cut this out, Joe, if it gets too political. But America did only get rid of slavery, just over 100 years ago. No, more than that now, like 150 years ago. I'm gonna look at the exact.
I mean,
date.
Actual segregation finished in the 60s.
60s, yeah. So like that's not.
But that was happening here as well, though. You got to bear in mind.
Segregation wasn't the laws were not the same in this country as they were in America. We didn't have black and white pubs.
Yes, we did. My mum has told... No, listen, just for a sec. My mum has told me, my mum is in her late 60s now. She remembers pubs saying, I think it was, no blacks, no p***s, and no Irish. There were pubs with signs. I know that I know I can't say that, but I'm just saying that for historical accuracy. That is what the pubs said outside their. She has clear memories. I have no evidence of this because this is what my mum has told me.
Yeah.
But she remembers in her youth that's what was said out, and she.
But I'll tell you what the difference there is that is like specifically that one pub owner. Don't get me wrong, there's probably other pubs who was doing that. But like, it wasn't enforced by the government. This was specifically the American government enforcing this and
those
saying,
rules.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's fair enough.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We did have racism. That's not. But what we didn't have like a government sanctioned racism. Law saying
like lawful racism.
Yeah, like law enforced racism. We didn't have that.
I mean, there's I don't know what you'd call it, like introductory or training videos that the American military had in World War II, and there's like a video for basically the black American soldiers. And it's just like, when you go to the UK, don't be surprised when they shake your hand and treat you like a normal human being. Don't be alarmed. So obviously, it tells you a lot about like, at least the attitudes in America, and also like, again, I'm not saying that racism didn't exist in the UK. It definitely did. But like, as a whole, as a society, we were generally, not that bad.
So casting was good in the sequels, yeah?
So casting was good, but I do think that, misusing your cast and mistreating your cast is a problem. And if John
this
Boyega,
is what the sequels did right.
but keeping on that, like John Boyega's character Finn I love Finn. I think he's awesome. And I think it's unfair that the sequels had something so cool there, and Finn had this relationship with Rey. He was trying to impress Rey, and I really feel like they could have had a cool team up of them both being Force users, or mean in the Lego Star Wars Christmas special we have Rey training Finn in the ways of the Jedi. I'm like, why am I getting this in a Star Wars Lego show, but not in the movies?
Yeah, I think we've already talked about this before, but I think we all thought that they were going for an Oscar Isaac John Boyega relationship in that.
Yeah, I thought that would have been quite cool too. Like, just so many things, so many. That's what is both amazing and annoying about sequels is they have like a huge, like amazing. It's like having a huge painting in front of you and then trying to do a sketch of it. And then you show everyone the sketch and not the painting. Yeah, like that's kind of what it feels like. Because it's like, it's true, though, isn't it?
We are kind of getting off topic now. So
sorry, apologies.
We're just going to say the casting is quality. They misused the actors, but the casting was quality.
Yeah.
Shout out Gwendolyn Christie also.
Oh yeah.
That she got done so dirty.
I want to move on to the next thing though. Chewie survived. Okay.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Like Chewie is such a mollusk. He's obviously like tough and everything, but he's at the end of the day, he's got a hard outer shell, but he's this lovely thing inside. Have you seen that meme of when it's kind of a meme, but it's also it's a heartfelt meme rather than a funny meme.
Go on.
Where it's Chewie. So Han's just died in front of him. Chewie is in agony, is like and then aims at Kylo, but then it cuts. The next image is of Chewie remembering Kylo when he was younger and helping raise this little boy,
and that's why he misses.
He just slightly lowers his crossbow and aims for Kylo Ren's thigh instead of his body, and it's like little things like that. I know that's not canon; that's only in a meme, but like
it's true.
It's
though.
Things like that that make me love. Like if you say who's your favorite Star Wars character and you don't say R2-D2 or Chewbacca, you're objectively wrong. Your opinion is wrong. Like he's brilliant. The fact that Chewie survived is amazing.
Do you think? Okay, this is going to be a very controversial thing to say, and feel free to say against it. But no, like it's the talk of Disney getting rid of Legends. this is probably for me one of the reasons why I'm happy they did it, because obviously Chewie in Legends is dead. Chewie dies in Legends, but in canon he's not. And like, if I'm going to be honest, and feel free to like tell me I'm wrong, but I would rather have Chewie alive than see overpowered Luke. Is that bad of me to say? Like, I will take Chewie. I don't necessarily want to see the depressed Luke that we got in Rise of Skywalker, but I am glad that we have Chewie.
The Last
alive.
Jedi, I mean.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Like, there's two. He was actually slightly happier in Rise of Skywalker. It's like, don't you throw your weapon. Actually, I kind of do like that. I know it was. It's so controversial, but I do kind of like the sort of joke there. Don't you do what I did in the last movie? Hey.
But no. I still wish we could have seen, like, in the end of the third film, maybe have Luke versus Abeloth. That would have been quite cool. But from Legends. But I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I do think overpowered Luke, but it would have been great.
So, do you think? And here's something that Marvel has actually announced recently. That Visions is going to Marvel the Vision series is going to be the last series that actually ties in to the to the movies. Like, TV show that the sort of TV show tie in. How
Marvel doesn't have a Visions TV show.
No. The new Vision TV show about Vision. I had the same thing with Sarah. There's a new show coming out about Vision, the character with White Vision.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's okay. I had the same thing with Sarah. She's like, Vision's is Star Wars. I'm like, no. I'm talking about Vision.
But if we're talking about the actual character Vision.
The actual character Vision. It's the show about him. Because obviously at the end of WandaVision, White Vision sort of goes off somewhere. And, but Marvel have sort of come out and said that this is the last show that's going to tie directly into the movies. And what they've said is fans shouldn't have to do homework to be able to enjoy the film.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like what do you guys think of that? Because isn't that basically like, we're cutting off Legends, or we're sort of, you're like, I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think?
Wait, hang a minute. Just before anything, I just want to say this. This is the most stupid thing ever. But the fact that you just like specifically said WandaVision, is literally just now clicked that it's like Wanda Vision.
And not one division.
Sake, what? Like, how did you just click on that?
I was thinking, because it's obviously like TV themed, like One Division, like it's almost like a broadcast, like a TV broadcast, Vision. But like, why? How did it take me so long? What the? God damn it! Why am I like this?
So, you're saying, do you think you should be able to watch each individual TV series and not be worried too much about
missing something? Like for example, WandaVision, like to get the Vision series, you kind of have to know what happened in WandaVision.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. I think there is a way to do everything you're saying. That's why I think Andor is so good, and you need to go watch it, because it's not like the Clone Wars, where you saw all Rebels or the Bad Batch, when you sort of have to know what's going on in the previous one to know what's going on here. Andor is very, very much, you don't need to know what's happening in all of it, and you can still chip in and know what's going on. You can, it's Rebels versus Empire. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it does strike the perfect balance of it is obviously canonical and is directly leading up to those films. However, it can't really change anything. Like, it doesn't introduce anything new, because it's basically, like I just said, it's a lead up to these other films. But it's just fleshing it out, but it's not necessarily adding anything more to it. So it's like the perfect balance of standalone and also being part of the series. And
what's interesting, so me and Sarah were having a discussion about this very thing, which was she really loves WandaVision. WandaVision is like one of her, she's like, I love this, and she really loved Agatha All Along, which is the sequel to WandaVision. But she really hated Multiverse of Madness, which of course is the next. She hates it because they developed Wanda's character so much in WandaVision, and then she was just a bad guy in
Yeah,
Multiverse of Madness. Like
I suppose that is true. Obviously, yeah, they fleshed her out with WandaVision, where it got to the point where it seemed basically that she was like she dealt with her inner demons and stuff like that.
So
and then immediately they just needed a powerful villain for Doctor Strange. Even though I thought that it was a decent film. I didn't think it was amazing, but Multiverse of Madness, like, yeah, that is a big flaw for sure.
I am going to controversially disagree. I think that's one of the things that saves it, because in the comics, Wanda is like Scarlet Witch is so much darker, and I think the fact that she becomes Scarlet Witch in the in WandaVision, I think that is sort of leading to that to happen. So as soon as she became the Scarlet Witch, I was like, right, she's gonna be the bad guy in the next thing. I knew that was gonna happen. And I think I agree that the Multiverse of Madness isn't the best Marvel film, but I don't think that is one of the reasons for it failing, because after everything Wanda has been through, she lost her brother, she lost Vision, and then she lost her kids. That's a perfectly reasonable explanation for that to happen.
But Nick, I'm gonna contradict you with real life here. Like, people have, there are plenty of women in history who have lost everything and haven't turned into evil maniacs in the next, within the next year. There are plenty of people that have as well. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, it's a lot of, and this is I'm quoting directly from Sarah here, and this is not me as a man. This is Sarah. Is that why take a woman's grief and make that the villain of your story? Because it's like Scarlet Witch, Wanda has a huge fan base of, especially at Comic-Con. You've seen a lot of people that cosplay Wanda at Comic-Con. Why take a hero like that to a lot of young girls, and then take her and make her a villain in a story just because she could be powerful? I mean, we could have had an alternate universe. Rather than have the Scarlet Witch from our reality, why couldn't the one from the alternate reality have been the villain, looking for the kids?
Yeah, okay, I get that. I don't know. I do think it sort of works for her character, though. If you had untapped amount of power that Wanda has, I know there's an argument for going through shit and then coming out the other side of it, but I just know from knowing myself, if I had the amount of power that Wanda has to change realities, to kind of enter people's mind, I know that it wouldn't take long for me to kind of get sucked into my own shell. If that makes sense. What's that famous?
That's a bit of a self-report. If I had ultimate power, I'd just immediately be evil.
I would. I feel like I would. I feel like I'm not strong enough mentally to be able to. So I'd need to surround myself with people who would call me out on my shit.
So staying on that sort of Multiverse of Madness idea, the premise of that is that Wanda captures this girl to kill her so she can find a reality where she could just ask the girl, hey, can you take me to a reality where my kids are still alive? There's an easy fix to this, and that's sort of the problem I have with it. Also, the build-up of the evil Doctor Strange we had in What If, I wanted to see him.
That would have been very, very cool.
Him and Wanda team up against this huge evil Doctor Strange. That's what I expected.
That would have been quite cool. Yeah.
And that's what they built up in the trailer. We see the evil Doctor Strange from What If, and he's just there for 1 second. And it's like, let's go back to Wanda.
I get you. So, I understand. That's one of the things that I have a gripe with. But I understand Wanda's trajectory in the film. Anyway, back to Star Wars. Although The Last Jedi it wasn't very good, I did like the underworld and arms dealing sort of political side of that film. Although it didn't make any sense for the story, I did enjoy that planet and seeing a closer look.
I don't know. I didn't really necessarily. Well, obviously, I didn't like any of the scenes that happened on that planet. However, the planet itself is quite cool.
Yeah.
Like the idea of it, like the gambling planet and the kind of corruption planet is loads of dodgy dealings and stuff.
I think it comes down to like there's so much politics in Star Wars, and it's always just like sort of there. Like I loved Canto Bight, and this is something I hold about the the mobsters that were selling, the arms dealers were selling to both sides during the rebellion. I build TIE fighters and X-wings, but I'm going to sell to both sides because I make money.
Yeah.
And it's really sad because it happens in real life. Like you've got got these two rival factions, and and it's the mobsters in the background that are rich right now, the billionaires, because they've been selling weapons to both sides, and it's like that wouldn't happen, but it does. It happens in real life, and it's so bad.
This is the thing, like, so you guys both know Seb, right? Well, he was on our previous podcast. So Seb went to California back in like 2019 or something like that. And obviously it's not in California, but it's fairly close. But he went to his family went to Vegas for the first time, and for the first 6 hours, they were there for like 3 days. First 6 hours, it was like, this is a really cool place. It's a really happy, really bustling. But then, because they were they're in like fairly central of it, and they were kind of where everything was happening. It looks really beautiful at first, and then you start looking a bit further into it, and it's just constantly money. The ka-ching sound was everywhere. They couldn't get away from it.
There's no clocks on the wall. There's no windows.
Yeah,
it's always just a light.
Yeah, it was just a bit. It was a bit much, and it was sort of apparently a very similar vibe to what we got in this area. It was just constant. Yeah. So I understand what they were going for with this, and I do think it was cool to see a bit of Star Wars version of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You know what's quite interesting, I guess, because of modern Disney, but that is definitely one thing I do appreciate modern Disney for, which, granted, George Lucas was kind of going more into that with the prequels, but the fact that, because the original trilogy is just bad guys, good guys, really.
Yeah.
There's really not all that much nuance to it. However, Disney, with all the series that it's been releasing with Andor, with Rogue One and stuff like that, it looks a lot deeper, and also with obviously the sequels shows that people are playing both sides just for money. And it makes it a lot more nuanced and interesting.
Can I interrupt you there quickly?
You go first, Nick.
So I'm going to disagree with you there, Joe. George did put a few things in of the original trilogy. Believe it or not, was based on the Vietnam War.
Yeah, it was Vietnam.
Yeah. So it was based on So the rebels were in Vietnam,
the Viet Cong,
and then USA was the Empire. That's what it was. And then we've spoken about this in one of the previous podcasts, the rise of the CIS is World War II. How that all came about. So I think George did put some things. I think you just have to look a little bit closer at the story to kind of get it.
For the original films, I would disagree. I think there's an obvious good guy, an obvious bad guy. The prequels less so. I think that is quite nuanced. Obviously, that's kind of famously what the prequels are about, is like politics and nuance and But like for the original trilogy, really it is just like, does it ever show the rebels being bad in any capacity?
Apart from blowing up the Death Star.
And I mean, Clone Wars, that was obviously pre-Disney as well, but that obviously showed again in the prequel timeline how it was that the CIS and the Confederacy was like made up of people who had justified arguments with the Republic and thought that the Republic was corrupt. So I can't say anything to the prequels, but the original trilogy specifically, those three films, I don't think it's all that nuanced. I think that is just kind of a typical, ironically, Disney fairy tale of good versus evil.
I think the nuance of the originals is obviously there is that interview with George Lucas, and it was in America. It was a huge discussion about how it was basically the Vietnam War, but it comes down to the politics of the era. Politics was definitely more at the forefront during the era of the prequels, and I think George felt more able to express that, and that's actually ultimately why the prequels at the time didn't do as well because they're like, I don't like this politics. Why you put politics in it? And it's like, well, the original.
I love how there's always been politics in it, though. Like, literally, one of Princess Leia's first lines is, "The Senate will not sit still for this," and it's just like,
yeah.
So, but it just goes to show that some people are just like when they can't. It's like in Star Trek. Everything in Star Trek is politics. And then you suddenly in modern day, maybe the politics is different, but it's still politics. And then you've got this creation of that's woke. And it's like, no, it's just the politics of now. You're looking at the politics from when you were younger. And that's how things change. The politics changes, politics adapts. And that's what politics is. It's the fight for power. That's the very definition of politics is the fight for power. It's what's currently relevant. And people will discuss that. And it will always be discussed. Whether you like that or not, it will always be there. And you can't get rid of it.
No, of course. Yeah, no, I'm completely with you on that. This is when I was looking at it. I was looking for what was really good. And there are very, very few absolutely spot on, perfectly executed, and also good serving to the story scenes in the sequels. There are them here and there. This is only one example I'm giving. They are there, but this one, and it's the Rey versus the TIE fighter in the Rise of Skywalker when she chops.
She does the flip.
Yeah, she does the flip. Then... Like there's so few of them. There's so few of these kind of scenes in the sequels that you'll sooner find an Ammonite. Like it's just
that's the one I was looking for earlier.
Yeah, it's like there's it's just the special effects in it are done so well. The editing is absolutely spot on. The slow motion bit, flip, the looking at it across in the distance, the turning around, the running. It's executed absolutely perfectly, and I will enjoy this scene every time I watch it if I ever watch The Rise of Skywalker again.
I'm gonna disagree. This scene means nothing to me. I
really?
Know, it's fine. It's like like it doesn't make me feel anything. I mean, it is like slightly scene. Cool, but I am just like, again, it's just like a logic thing of. Really is ramming the thing we're doing, or why not like blast her from
orbit,
flying to the sky and then just shoot her? It's just kind of a, I don't know, maybe it's my dumb logical brain, which isn't always logical.
To be fair, I kind of agree with. I like the look of it, but actually thinking about it now, it is kind of dumb because why is he flying low to avoid radar? Because that's why you fly low. You're doing it to avoid radar. Ray doesn't have. Are we saying the Force operates like radar now? He's flying low to avoid radar, but she can hear it. So
it's good. I like it.
I mean, her name's Ray. Ray Dar.
Oh my god, that's her Force ability. Yes,
Ray Dar Binks.
You shall be detected by my radar.
Yeah. No, I liked this. It was cool. Anyway,
it is like kind of just equating it back to the Holdo maneuver. It's one of those things where it might not make sense. It looks cool. It just doesn't necessarily make sense.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Okay. I thought you didn't like slow-mo in Star Wars. You complain about the acolytes, jumping out slow-mo kung fu scene.
No, it wasn't. I didn't mind that. It was more, like the way they were kind of jumping back. It was just very obvious that they were on ropes.
Yeah,
that was my gripe. It wasn't the slow motion. I love the slow motion.
I think it was just stylized. It was
very stylized. It was based on the old kung fu movies.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Babu Frick.
What did you just call it?
What did you call it? I was gonna say I was gonna say Babu Frick, but I went Boo Boo, and I was like, that's not
Boo Frick.
Oh boy!
Yeah. Like the thing I love about Babu, the thing I love about Babu Frick, he's a closed clam. You don't really know much about him. He's a brilliant little guy, and he's like, hey, he's an engineer, and he's for some reason he turns up in the final fight, and I have no idea why, but he's brilliant.
I just enjoy him. I enjoy his presence.
Next Star Wars series,
Babu
Wars.
Frick. Babu Frick versus Salacious Crumb.
I mean, we were talking about this the other day. To let us know in the comments, who
wins,
think,
Babu Frick or Salacious Crumb? Yeah. He is a close clam, though. We don't know. I think
Babu Frick.
Yeah.
You know what? Save it for next time.
This is the next versus.
The intro versus Babu Frick versus Fallacious Crumb.
Yeah. Anyway, the comedy moments in Star Wars, some of the things that makes Star Wars is the slightly cringe comedy, and I do think there are moments in the sequels that equate to that. Like for example, the C-3PO scenes in The Rise of Skywalker, that they are executed perfectly, and you can't have Star Wars. Like, obviously you've got, Star Wars is so much different things. Some people just see the sci-fi and the nerdiness of it and think, oh, it's Star Wars, I don't like it. But it's so much more than that. You've got family, you've got the comedy, you've got the actual story relating it to the real world issues. You've got all these different things that make Star Wars what it is. The emotion as well. And the comedy moments is something that, although not all of them were brilliant, like they fly now. Yeah, I'm the spy. Like, some of it is just shit.
Yeah.
Some of it is just bad.
I
there
find
are some
it
moments.
Funny.
Oh, good.
I do find it funny. Not necessarily the moments in the film itself. However, I find the people's memeing of those stupid moments funny.
Yeah.
Making they fly now jokes. Like, when I was watching, I was just like, that's fucking stupid. But like, when I see people posting pictures of it online, I'm just like, they fly now.
Okay. For me, the best comedy is still Kylo Ren attacking consoles with a lightsaber, and the two stormtroopers nope. They don't say anything. They sort of look at each other like, no, we go.
They're definitely. I mean, I don't know where I stand on this one particularly, because there is always kind of a goofiness to Star Wars of sorts. But obviously with Disney in recent movies, well, I say recent movies, a while ago now, but like, you know, basically with the Disney trilogy, they have really Marvel quipped it. You know, there's loads of quipping and stuff like that. And I do enjoy Marvel quipping, but like, I much prefer it in Marvel films, because those characters are already kind of, fantastical because they've got superpowers. Whereas, like, for the most part, people in the Star Wars universe are just regular people, and they're in real danger. Obviously, I know this is kind of ironic because obviously Jedi's have force powers and supernatural abilities, but like, I don't know. It to me, Star Wars is more grounded than the Marvel series, which is. Maybe I'm just speaking out my ass, because obviously Marvel, a lot of it does just take place on Earth, which is more normal.
I think Marvel has gotten a little bit silly now, but I think this is because they've kind of been trying to go into the comics a bit more. But my favorite era of Marvel will probably always be Phase 1 and Phase 2. So up to like Civil War kind of time period, because it's all kind of still rooted in, I guess, science and science fiction. And like Iron Man especially is the first Iron Man film. There's nothing fantastical about that. He's just a very intelligent guy who creates a very, very high-tech suit. That's pretty much it.
Let's move on from funny things to John Williams, because he's amazing.
Oh God, John Williams is so good. Like, I love. Like, he is just I think now Hans Zimmer has kind of leveled with him for me, but like, he is just such everything. Star Wars would not be what it is without John Williams. Like, it's just fair. Like, the prequels would not be as good as they are. Like, part of what makes the the music is the best thing about the prequels, and they're the best thing about the sequels.
Let's be real. The original films and the prequels, maybe the best theatrical composition soundtrack of all time ever. Like, those soundtracks are so unbelievably iconic. Everyone knows them, and like, there's even songs or like pieces that you'd listen to just in your daily because it sounds so good.
Yeah. His music is always on Classic FM, alongside Bach and the classic. The two films that you always hear are Lord of the Rings and Star Wars.
So I was about to bring that up because until Joe said a very specific thing, I was going to say actually Lord of the Rings, I think, might be, depending on what tune you're comparing it to from the studio. I might say it's kind of one up each other, I think, with the Lord of the Rings and the Star Wars film. Until Joe said, everyone knows it. And that's true.
Yeah.
Like, I could play something from the Lord of the Rings film, like anyone who's seen the films will know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Anyone who isn't a Lord of the Rings fan is not going to know what that is.
Yeah.
However, if you go everyone knows that's Star Wars. So yeah, until Joe said, everyone knows it, I was going to actually like completely contradict what he said. But no, you're right. It is better than Lord of the Rings music because everyone knows it.
Everyone knows it. It's more popular. I mean, like all of his music, obviously Jurassic Park, I love that music. Harry Potter, the list goes on.
I just want to put the point that I've put here in the thing. It's just, I've not written he's good. I've written John Williams is... That's what I've written in our notes right here. Yeah.
But yeah, Nick, you can take the next one because this is yours.
So as a lot of people, I know I've got blue lightsabers in the background, but like for me, my favorite, like ever since I read Zane Carrick comic, the Jedi Covenant back in the 2000s, and then when I saw actually on screen, was it BioWare who did the trailers for the Knights of the Republic,
or the Old Republic.
Is that what they're called? Yeah, like the Knights of the Eternal Throne, or whatever it's called. The yellow lightsabers in that. When I saw it, I was like, yellow lightsaber's my favorite color. Yellow for a lightsaber. And then when I saw that at the end for Rey, I was like,
yeah.
It's they are terrible films, but oh my god, yellow lightsaber.
Why haven't you been streaming SWTOR? I'm genuinely curious as to now why you haven't just installed it and started playing it, because you talk about it all the time.
I know.
That's true.
I've briefly played it a little bit when I was younger, but it's at the moment it's mostly because of time, and I've only recently got the PC. The computers that Joe gave me his PC. I didn't get it. His old computer, so we could play video games online. But the reason why I haven't is because I haven't had a computer to play video games on, really, especially online video games. That's the only thing that's behind me, because it's a PC game, isn't it? SWTOR. Yeah. I had a PS2, I had a Wii, and then I didn't get another console for a very, very long time. I had a £150 laptop in 2008. So it wasn't very good. It lasted me until I went to uni, and then it just died. And I mean, it died. And then I had a £350 laptop, Windows laptop. Again, it could barely run Minecraft. Like, it only just was able to run that. It was barely able to run the music software that I was using, which is why I didn't really do much music production up to that point. I only really had like a powerful laptop from 2021 onwards, and that was a Mac. And you can't play that on a Mac. It simply can't do it, and that's the reason why I haven't played it yet. I've only got this PC that Joe has very kindly lent me until I can afford to get a better one.
Is that actually true? You can't play it on the Mac? I would have thought, because it's not like a huge game or anything, but like...
No, I tried to download it on Steam, and...
you can't download Star Trek Online on Mac either.
You can't. I physically couldn't play it. I didn't have a Windows computer that was strong enough to run it, and that is the reason why I hadn't played SWTOR yet. I've been round people's houses when they've played it. I've watched some online footage. That's as far as that is the extent that I've been able to play it at, and that's the reason. And since having the PC, it's been time. That's it. It's just the amount of time I currently have is limited. And if I start a new game that I know I'm going to become addicted to, I might as well wait until I've got enough time to be able to stream it.
That makes sense. Like, what are you doing this evening?
Ben's taking me out for a birthday pint because it was my birthday on Tuesday. I turned 29.
Happy birthday, all of us.
We're all older. Oh god,
we all aged in the span of a week and a half.
We all aged horribly.
How did we all like become friends and have our birthdays like next to each other? I don't.
We met at uni, and then I met Joe because I lived with him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There we go. Right. So yes, I love the yellow lightsaber.
Because we're at 1 hour 40. Shall we skip the next one? Because we've
already talked about it. We did talk shit talk, but I'm sorry. It is I went in as I went. I guess kind of links to the next thing as well, because the last 2 points we've got now about the sequels. I went into all three of these films with just like, look for the good in them. Look for the good in them. I could not find that much about The Last Jedi. All of the stuff that was good in The Last Jedi, we've already spoken about. Yeah. And there really is not that much. And it is completely outweighed by the shit inside that film. If you like The Last Jedi, I'm happy for you, but you're wrong. It's bad.
Well, one thing we haven't mentioned about it yet is I really love those giant tanky AT-ATs. I love the original eight. You have the original AT-ATs next to it, and then it's giant extra.
Yeah.
I know it's like compensating for much, Kylo. Compensating.
Yeah. No, it's true.
I think the vehicles for me. I am gonna because we are supposed to be trying to defend it. I'm gonna say the vehicles in this, apart from the bombers. I think I like the look of the bombers. I think how they were used was aesthetically pleasing for me, but I don't like the way they were deployed. Like, why would you have a World War II bomber squad?
No,
but I
love
the way they looked. Like, I would happily have a model of one, but I definitely wouldn't play one in a game, if that makes sense.
No, of course.
Again, relating it to the Holdo maneuver, that whole scene with the bombers, I am just like, strategically does not make any sense. Looks cool though. Looks really cool.
I did actually know one thing I did think was cool was the very beginning of that sequence with Poe being just an awesome pilot and taking out all the turrets. I thought that was sick. I did quite enjoy that bit, and also making General Hux kind of wait and pretending that he can't hear him. That was some choreo that I sort of liked.
Yeah, I love that. Actually, Hux for me, is I know he's such a stupid character, but he's just like the highlight for me, and especially when he's like, "No, I'm the spy,"
and I was like, "Oh, I don't know." That was when he said, "I'm the spy," it was kind of ruined for me at that point. But yeah,
no, but
I mean, I think because I saw like people gripe about that recently, and I do get it. I understand, but I do think because at that point, he is just like, I don't care who wins. I want to make sure he loses. Yeah, like, that's the main kind of thing.
It's
like,
so human, you know.
Yeah,
he would do that.
He's not. Yeah. He's not actually selling out the First Order. I mean, he sort of is in a way. Yeah. But like the main goal is like, as soon as Kylo Ren's dead, you think he's just gonna like, high five Rey and
no, he's gonna turn on them straight away.
No,
yeah, exactly. And then he's gonna like have no competition for his place in the First Order. Yeah. The main thing is Kylo Ren must die. That's like his whole thing. So that to me, I'm just like, even though people are angry about that, I'm just like, I can look past it. Like, I can see his reasonings.
And I haven't seen any of a few of the shows, but doesn't Hux's dad show up at one point in one of the is it? I can't remember. He shows
don't
up
remember
on
that happened in the films, but
no, it happened in It was Mandalorian. His dad is at the table with all the that was cool for me.
That's
that
cool.
In Mando he shows up and it's like Hux, and I'm like, oh my god!
It's his daddy.
When you say his dad, is it like the actor or actual Hux's dad?
No. The character Hux's dad. Like, he's like, Moff Hux or Admiral Moff. I can't remember what his title was, but and it looks like Hux, but like a badass looking version of Hux. Like, Hux is quite sort of, I'm young and little, and
squeaky,
I'm a chap, but the daddy Hux is very much like, I will kill you all, and I will not care.
Right. I'm just curious because honestly,
space Nazi.
Domhnall Gleeson, who plays Hux, his dad is an actor. I forget his name. It's something Gleeson, obviously. Yeah. But, I'd be curious if they actually cast Domhnall Gleeson's dad as his dad.
Yeah. Oh my god, we looked that up. Let me look it up.
Yeah,
no, I'll do it later.
While James is looking that up, I want to put the last point that I've literally just put in here in the last 10 minutes about. It's the good things about the sequels. Are you guys ready for this?
Okay.
I like The Force Awakens.
No, I'm with you. 100%. I'm with you.
I think it's a great film.
Do you guys remember, and we were at university at the time, Nick, when that first trailer dropped with the Millennium Falcon, doing those maneuvers over the desert, we were cheering.
Yeah.
We were cheering for that.
God. I didn't like it at the time because they just completely retconned everything from the expanded universe, which was just me being an angry Disney's ruined everything kind of kid. But The Force Awakens is a good film. It's a safe film. I will say it's a safe film. They played it very safe, and it's almost a remake of A New Hope. But I enjoyed it, man. BB-8. Yeah. Oh, I've got nothing bad to say about BB-8. What a character. The little thumbs up he does with the torch. It's honestly, it's a good film. It's a solid film. It works
James
in the Star Wars universe.
Is it him? Is it?
So first, I'm gonna read this. So in The Mandalorian, Commander Brenton Hux is a prominent figure for the Galactic Empire. Mm-hmm. He is a key figure in Mandalorian season 3. Brendo Hux, portrayed by actor Brian Gleeson, is a key character. Hux's daddy is Hux's daddy.
Oh God, that's so funny. Yeah.
Why'd you have to say daddy though?
he is daddy.
Yeah. So yeah, Force Awakens, good film. Miles better than all.
I do think like you said, it is very close to the original A New Hope, but like, when you're copying A-style homework, you're gonna at least get an A. Like, not that the film was like that great. Like, it was just like a passing grade to me. Anyway.
I will still put all of the original. I will still put all the original trilogy and the prequels above it. But it is a good. That's quite a high bar, isn't it?
But I think it comes down to, like, you know, you can watch a film and enjoy it and not have to keep poking holes in it. And I feel like Star Wars fans are very good at poking holes in things.
Yeah.
Like, and as soon as you poke holes in something, it falls apart. You know.
Yeah.
I still come back to. I'm going to come back to Last Jedi. I saw that like 3-4 times in the cinema, and it was only when I started watching YouTube videos about how everyone hated it that I started to hate it. And because I was on tour, I was having, you know, in a really crap time, and there was a Star Wars movie that I could see like multiple times, and I told all my friends I loved it, you know, and we watched it several times, but now I'm like, okay, yeah, it's not very good. But again, I think that comes down to the sequel didn't pay it off. I think for me, if the sequel had paid it off.
I did the exact same thing that you did. I came out of the cinema the first time I saw it, saying I'd just seen a new Star Wars film. That was cool. And I was like, I was completely neutral about it. I was like, I need to process it. And I was like, maybe I need to go see it. So a couple of days later, I went to see it again. And this is before I saw anything about it online. And I'm sorry, I cannot get with that film. It's just too many flaws, and it just doesn't, like, it looks cool. And I think that's what took me over. Like what Joe says, it looks brilliant. It's a brilliant looking film, but it just doesn't make any sense. There's no story there. Fans want good stories. If you want, I've already spoken about that. I don't need to make that point again, but it just doesn't like, I'm happy that you found some happiness within the film, James. But like, I just couldn't get with it. It just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think for me now, I can't watch it and enjoy it now because I've seen the sequel, and the sequel doesn't. For me, for a story to work, it has to all link together really nicely. And because Disney retconned the story rather than just going with it.
Yeah, but the thing is, it retconned everything in The Force Awakens, so your point goes against the point you were making. Like, it doesn't make any sense to it. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I enjoyed the effects and the fact that I was seeing a Star Wars film in the cinema. That's the only thing that I could enjoy. It's not a good film. I'm sorry, but it's not.
Okay, stop. Breaking news. It's not his daddy. It's his older brother. It's not his daddy. It's his older brother.
Mad.
They're brothers.
Cool.
There you go.
But yeah, Force Awakens, good film.
What I was going to say, that's right. For The Last Jedi, and just me shifting on it a bit more. When I might have said in a previous podcast, but like, that was the first, maybe the first film. I don't know. Basically, it's the first Star Wars film, at least, that I walked out of, and I was just like, that was fucking awful. What did I just watch?
What was that?
The moment where Leia does the hand thing and then glides through
Poppins.
space. Yeah. I audibly laughed in the cinema. Like, I was literally laughing out loud.
Yeah.
Do we think that there is we got too much of a good. There's too much of a good thing. Like I feel like anyone who doesn't like the prequels, because there are still prequels haters out there, but most of them are men in their 70s at this point. It comes down that every time there's something new, people aren't going to like it. The sequels are an exception because, unfortunately, Disney was thinking about the money rather than the thing that they'd spent all this money. They wanted something out as quickly as humanly possible. Yeah. They didn't particularly care. Hiring a certain director, J.J. Abrams, for me, was a stupid idea. The reason I hired him is because he brought back Star Trek by turning it into Star Wars, and then he finally got Star Wars, and he didn't, give it the time of day. He clearly, from people I've spoken on to who worked on that film, when I was doing Andor for a shoot, one of the guys, the kid that runs across at the beginning of The Force Awakens, I was talking to him, and he was telling me about what JJ said to him. He's like, I want this to envision a new hope. Have you seen that movie? And he was like, the kid, when he was a kid, he was like, no, I've never seen that movie. What? You've not seen A New Hope and you're on this movie? It's like, he clearly likes Star Wars, but clearly in a way differently to other people, how other people appreciate it.
Different to how writers like it.
But I think it comes down to, film directors, a lot of film directors don't have time to watch everything or read every material, and a lot of writers don't either. So I think it comes down to this Hollywood need to have an IP to write a story. And I kind of wish that we could just write new stories and stay away from IPs. And maybe copyright is the problem. Like, you can't have something similar to something else without it being a copyright infringement. And that's why we're stuck with that.
I will agree with you that obviously because they started with The Force Awakens being so close to A New Hope, they kind of did set it off to maybe a bad path. Even though we did enjoy that film, it's like the one of the sequel trilogy that we actually do enjoy. Like you said, it does tread the same path for the most part. So there is no room for originality, which then Rian Johnson tried to do, but then obviously kind of ruined it. Which, but yeah, like I think J.J. Abrams should have directed all three of them. He should have just done the whole trilogy. If that was the way they're going to continue, and if otherwise they should have started with Rian Johnson and gotten Rian Johnson to do the whole trilogy, because then it would at least be a coherent trilogy. And don't get me wrong, because like Rian Johnson, he explores some interesting points about like for instance on Canto Bight, where they're playing both sides. He has the capacity to make something watchable and interesting. So I would actually, unironically, even though I really don't like Rian Johnson, I would like to see a Rian Johnson trilogy, and I think it has the potential to be like a decent trilogy. At least if anything to go on by Knives Out. Even though I think Knives Out is just fine, I don't hate it. Knives Out is like perfectly watchable and perfectly entertaining.
I don't know. I kind of lost all faith in that guy after The Last Jedi.
I don't blame you.
But doesn't that kind of like a story? Some of the best films of all time have always had the same director for all three. Star Wars, the original three, was always George Lucas. As soon as you have someone else, another pair of eyes looking at something, you're always going to see something completely different.
It's a real shame.
And it is. And I mean, it works with Star Trek in some ways because Star Trek is episodic. But as soon as the Star Trek episodic episodes work really well when you have different directors. But when you have Star Trek Discovery, I'm going to use an example because it is considered the Star It is the most controversial. It came around the same time as it was Star Wars, Star Trek's rival to Star Wars Force Awakens. It really annoyed fans because it was a overarching story. First off, Star Trek had never done that before. Star Trek was always episodic. It was sort of very Battlestar Galactica in tone to it. But the problem was each episode had a different director. So each an overarching story can't have separate directors. The story has to be told from the same perspective every time. As soon as you have a different director they're going to see something different in the story and want to explore that. And then another director is going to see something completely different and want to go back to it. And that's where the conflict in the story comes from. There has to be a uniformed one person in charge. I get it if the director passes away and you have no choice. But when there quite clearly is a choice, and you have people at the top that clearly just want to make money.
Yeah,
that's where the problem comes in, and I think that's unfortunately what the sequels suffered from. Yeah. They suffered from suits. It comes down to suits. Halo suffered the same thing.
I think you do need, like you said, that one guy to maintain the vision, to like control everything. You need that one person to stay the path, like a dictatorship. Yeah. Like, for instance, you do need someone to be that dictator. Because, like, for instance, with, I don't know, the UK government, whatever, because we live in a democracy, we vote, there's different opinions. There's so much bureaucracy and logistics, and things struggle to get built and cost insane amounts of money just because there's so much red tape and jargon that's written on thousands of pages or whatever. Whereas like dictatorships, you could just be like, we're doing this, make it for me happen right now. And it is a lot more streamlined. Are
we deciding to just be like, nah, dictatorships, man, that's the way to go?
No, I'm just saying...
just say Anakin had a point.
yeah. You know what? Maybe the Empire wasn't so bad. They were a dictatorship.
The Empire was a good idea. Let's do that.
Yeah. That's why I've got the red lightsabers.
That actually makes sense. The irony is, I was reading an article and watching someone's video, and they were saying that Palpatine was bored in charge of the Empire. Right? he was just bored. He didn't have anything to do. He'd done his master plan. So it's interesting that it's sort of like, maybe if he paid attention to his politics, and he actually cared about the people under him, maybe the Empire wouldn't have been I don't know.
Yeah. Nick said this in a previous episode or stream where he was just like, you were saying Palpatine doesn't spend much time in the Parliament or whatever it is. He's literally just off doing his like science experiments about cloning and stuff like that, just because he's got nothing to do. He's just like, my goal's complete. I'm just gonna fuck around now.
So, Joe, how much do you know about the production of the first 3 Halo games and going into 343?
I know the first. Actually, there's issues with 1 and 2. I remember 1 was initially going to be an RTS, I believe. Then they changed it to a first-person shooter. And then they changed it to because it was going to be for Mac, and then they changed it to a Microsoft first-person shooter. And then with Halo 2, I remember they were like months, if not years, into production, and then they like basically scrapped the whole campaign and then had to like rush it out within the span of a year, I want to say. And then as far as I'm aware, Halo 3 didn't have any difficulties. And then obviously after that, you get the absolute clusterfuck that's 343, but let's not go into that. I'll be here all day.
So, but it was basically going on about how I can't remember who they were saying that the leader was, but it was the sort of lead design for Halo 2 that got them back on track. He was the same guy that did Halo Infinite and sort of got them back into production, like but Halo 3, a lot of the Halo games sort of post 3, not so much Reach, I don't think, didn't have a lead director. There was no one in charge of the project. Like really keeping the path, keep them on track for that one thing. It wasn't until Halo Infinite that they got that again. And unfortunately, he came in too late. So Halo Infinite was like half finished. Like I loved Halo Infinite. I thought it was great.
It was good. It was a good game.
It's just too short. You know. And we were promised live service updates and we didn't get it. Anyway, we've talked.
We're done with the main event now. That's everything. That's everything good about the sequels, and also shitting on it a lot more than I
thought. I think we debated it quite thoroughly.
I think we did. I think.
I can't lie. It is always an interesting discussion. No matter how many times we've talked about it, I do always enjoy talking about it.
Yeah. Moving on from our main event. James, you want to take this?
Yeah, I will actually. What would make a great crossover? So for those that don't know, Nickelodeon is sort of part owned by Paramount, by a parent company, and we got this amazing Super Bowl advert for Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3, which was the Star Trek SpongeBob crossover.
Doesn't make any sense.
It was so stupid. It was so stupid, but it scratched an itch I never knew I had. Especially when SpongeBob beams up and Spock says, "Live long and prosper, Sponge Robert." it just made me so happy.
See, it sounds like to me the Baby Metal and Bring Me the Horizon collab, which I never knew I needed. I never knew I needed Kingslayer, and then I was like, "This is incredible. What's going on?"
It was just so, especially like, it sort of, Uhura wakes up at the front. She's like, "That was a weird dream," and then turns around to Spock, going, "Maybe it was your imagination."
Yeah.
It's so stupid. I know it's stupid. Especially the Enterprise was the USS Patrick Star ship.
Yeah.
And it was just Patrick as a spaceship. It was so stupid. It was so stupid, but I'm just like
I mean, we all put here some stupid ones, because I know that we're going to spend too much time talking about this because we've already been on call for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
So we've each put one each, I think. I just went stupid with mine. I think, because what crossover would you like to see for whatever reason? I think each of us put one.
I'm going to go last because I haven't put one, but I have an answer.
Marvel and DC is one that I just put in there to skip over because it's been done in the comics before, but I like to see that in live action. I don't know how they do it, but I think that'd be quite cool to see.
I was actually reading an X-Men. There's an X-Men Star Trek comic that I've discovered recently, which is a sequel to Star Trek.
You and your
First
bloody
Contact.
Star Trek.
No, I do run a Star Trek news show, but it was really cool. I hadn't heard about it before, but it came out just after the Star Trek First Contact film did, and it was funny because they on the Enterprise on its way home gets stuck in the Marvel universe, and then. They have one of the Marvel villains sort of tricks the Enterprise crew into thinking he's going to help them, and then accidentally tries to tear the multiverse apart.
Which Marvel villain?
I can't remember. I'll find a thing. Yeah. But either way, it's quite funny. But yeah, Marvel versus DC, I could see that.
Then you got your one, James.
Yes, I would love to see a Halo Stargate crossover. I feel like they're both.
I don't know either of those things. I know of Halo, obviously, but I've never played it for the same reason.
Stargate and Halo have very sort of similar concepts. Ancient aliens, humans being descendants of an ancient race, like the Stargate starts very simple in its narrative. Humans discover a ring on the surface of the planet, and we use it to go to distant systems and meet alien races. But I think these two would cross over really well, because I think you could fairly argue that the Forerunners do use sort of like gate tech in some ways.
Yeah.
Joe, would you agree with that one? That gate tech is sort of very similar to Forerunner technology.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. I mean, they both play the same part in their respective universes, where obviously they are like the Forerunner or the. It's funny because they literally are called what they are, like Forerunner, precursor, whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. So I would love to. I think you could easily do it, like a Stargate show set in the era of Halo, because the Stargates would still be around and the Gate Network would still be there. And I think it would be an interesting crossover. It probably would have to be like really. You'd have to like work out the logistics, because some of the technology in both shows, like in Stargate, they have ships that are like just as advanced as the ships in Halo, but 400 years too early. So it's sort of like it probably wouldn't work. It would have to be like a dimension hopping thing. And I before we move on to the next one, I just want to shout out Star Trek Lower Decks season. This is spoilers, so if you haven't seen the final season of Star Trek Lower Decks, you guys don't care, so that's fine. But Star Trek Lower Decks ends in the most brilliant way possible. It ends with Boimler's clone shitting on parallel universe, like, I really hate multiverses, because his ship has got like 10. Oh look, it's another fucking Harry Kim, and this is all of these Harry Kims are just on his ship. It's quite brilliant. But the end of that arc ends with this huge portal opening up, this rift, and it links all the different dimensions together, all the so you can just go to any reality, and anything can come in. And they end with basically a Deep Space Nine sequel, essentially, where you've got a starbase next to the rift, and it can lead to a really fun episodic story where you've got just random characters from different dimensions showing up. I'm really excited to see where they go with it. Unfortunately, Lower Decks was cancelled after its 5th season, which everyone.
Oh no, is it stopped?
They cancelled it. That was how it ended, and everyone's pissed off. That explanation of a multiversal story, I was like, yes, this is what I want. Cool. So I can have that. I can have my SpongeBob Star Trek crossover. I can have my Halo, because I've got
doesn't
this
break canon.
It doesn't break the canon because there's a portal to it right there. Any story can be told now, and I think that's cool. So cool. You guys go.
So when I was doing this, I was like, okay, this would be cool, because this was your idea for this segment, wasn't it?
Yeah,
James. I was like, I could either do something really and talk a lot about, for example, a Marvel and DC thing, or I can just really think about something really stupid and just think how just insane and just silly entertaining would this be. So I've gone with Thomas the Tank Engine and Mission Impossible. I just have Tom Cruise just like he is on the plane in Ghost Protocol, just hanging out of Thomas.
Thomas was really happy to be helping Tom Cruise. What a lovely thing to do for Tom.
Helping Tom as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, Tom Cruise's character is called Ethan, but
that's fine.
Ethan Hunt,
Ethan
Hawke. Ethan Hawke, I think it is. Thomas was very happy to help Ethan Hawke. What a lovely thing to do, thought Thomas.
It's Hunt.
Ethan Hunt. Oh, it's Hunt.
It is Hunt. There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
I'd watch it. I've got nothing else to say about it. There's no explanation there. I'd have no idea what they would do, but
just for the chaos,
Mission Impossible featuring Thomas the Tank Engine.
I think Simon
with the
Pegg
narrator
would be 100% down for that. You just know he would.
Yeah.
I can see Simon Pegg fitting in there somewhere.
He would make the most out of that so much. It'd be brilliant.
He would.
Hacking into the diesel engines.
Oh my god, yes. Joe, what you got?
So I'm going to be a bit of a spoil sport and kind of just go against the whole segment. Bear with me. It's just the fact that I'm kind of sick of multiverses. I just want to say that for instance, Fortnite and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, Fortnite's a fun game, but I feel like there's so many things that are becoming multiverses that we're kind of losing the definition of what one property is, and that to me, I'm just like, I don't want a mashup of anything. I don't think, at least right now, just because I'd rather. It's a bit
oversaturated right now.
Yeah, it is. I'd rather just Halo be Halo and Star Trek be Star Trek and Star Wars be Star Wars. I'm down for the occasional fun thing, whatever. That's fine. But for instance, so Fortnite obviously is a good example because there's just so many characters and franchises that are now in that. Then you've got Call of Duty, where there's skins of people in characters in films, and also is it Cardi B? I think Cardi B is a playable character in Call of Duty, which is so dumb. That's so silly. And films like Ready Player One, and I think the new Space Jam as well kind of suffer this problem where they it's just things from I think it's Warner Brothers that did that, and obviously they're just using characters from all over the Warner Brothers universe and back catalog. Yeah. And I'm just like, for whatever reason, for me, I just find it just loses my interest immediately for the most part. Where I'm just like, I just can't. It's too much. It's just too much, I think.
Yeah, I think once it started happening, it's like you can't tame a squid. It was just going to keep on rolling and get out of control. You can't tame it. The squid is going to get all loose and start. Tentacles are going everywhere.
Yeah, you're such a mollusk.
I think that's what I liked about Lower Decks season 5, and I said this at the beginning, and I mean, even you, Nick, you said you quite enjoy Lower Decks because it's written by the guy who did Rick and Morty and stuff.
Well, no, I watched one episode with you, and I said I like this, but I don't really know anything about it because it's Star Trek and I actually tried watching Star Trek again recently, and I'm sorry, it's so dull.
I'm curious, what Star Trek are you watching?
I'm not watching any Star Trek.
No.
I tried to watch it about 2 months ago. I can't remember what it was. I'm sorry. I just clicked on something.
If you tried to watch anything classic, there's no way in hell, Nick, you're going to like it. And it's something newer that's like Discovery or
Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be good. I haven't watched any Star Trek.
It just goes at such a snail's pace for me. It just doesn't really work. I guess I'm just a closed clam, man. Does. I'm a closed clam. I'll sooner find an Ammonite than I'll find a Star Trek. Then I'll find a Star Trek thing that I'll enjoy. Like, I enjoyed Lower Decks, but I think it was only that witty kind of Rick and Morty kind of nostalgia that I kind of had with it.
But I think that's it, isn't it? Like, you like Lower Decks, and Lower Decks is considered one of the best Star
I've just
Treks.
explained to you the reason why I liked it, and wouldn't even say that I liked it. I guess I was just being polite. It's fine.
I can see you like Lower Decks.
Yeah,
I think
it's fine. I watched an episode with you, and I was like, okay, cool. It's here. The comedy's good, but I don't understand anything that's going into it. I can't really appreciate it. Like when I was watching it, I was like, oh, this would be cool if I knew what was going on, but I don't. And I feel like that's what I was like. I don't know. Some of it was fine. Like, you keep saying I like Lower Decks. I've watched one episode with you. I don't even remember what was going on about it.
No. I was just saying that.
Stop saying that I like it.
No, but you tolerated it. You tolerated it. But what I'm saying is, I don't know what Star Trek you're watching, but evidently it's one of the classic ones. And Star Trek is slower than Star Wars because they have the politics that Episode 1 fans despised. But they don't resolve it with guns usually. Usually they resolve it with...
it's just more politics.
Politics, yeah.
But I think I'm going to give that Lower Decks description. Joe, what you said, Lower Decks, Boimler literally says, I hate the multiverse. I hate everything about it. Why am I saying so many Harry Kims? I don't care about this. And that I really want to show you that episode. I think you'd really appreciate it, Joe.
I mean, the multiverse thing of like having multiple of the same character, that doesn't bother me so much. It's the blending of franchises, of having characters from other franchises just kind of ham-fistedly like punched into your series, and I'm just like,
feeding it down your throat.
Yeah. Where I'm just like, there is no subtlety to this. It's just a blunt force like over my head. But yeah, sorry, that's didn't mean to be a spoil sport for the segment, but I just wanted to air my opinion on that because
that's all right, man.
I can't be the only one.
You don't have to like everything, bud.
No, you're just a social cuttlefish. You just want to express your opinion in the social situation you're in. I respect that. That's cool.
Yeah. No, thank you.
No, you can't outthink an octopus.
You can't
tame me. You think you really. You think about it a lot.
Yeah, I'm like a cuttlefish. You can't tame me.
No, it's a squid you can't tame. Cuttlefish you can tame.
Fuck! God, why am I? God damn it!
I saw an amazing meme, and it was the cuttlefish going, hugs! And it's like, no, you're poisonous. Dangerous hugs!
Yeah.
Well, on to our last topic then. I suppose
we don't have to spend too much time on this. Did you guys go and see Revenge of the Sith in the cinema again?
I'm very sad to say I didn't get time.
No,
I did.
We're bad Star Wars fans. Just me and James are bad Star Wars fans.
It was honestly sitting in that theatre and watching Revenge of the Sith again. It brought me close. I can't cry sober anymore for traumatic reasons that we're not going to go into. But like, it brought me close to. Especially since after all the.
Wait, were you drunk in the cinema?
After all the no, I can't cry, so and that brought me very close to it. That's what I'm saying.
But if you had been drinking, you probably would have cried.
Oh, if I had been drinking, I'd have been gone, mate. I think that's what. Sorry, once. Now that we've got so much more depth to the Order 66 from expanded content from the Star Wars universe, that shit hits differently when you watch episode 3 now, especially in a theater watching on the big screen. Jesus Christ!
Have you seen that cut of Order 66 with like every every Order 66 scene? I mean that really does hit hard. I'm just like. But you can still watch the original Revenge of the Sith and know that stuff's going on at the same time. Yeah. But seeing that, that full clip of 66 of Ahsoka doing her with Rex going fives, and then he says it. It's like I'm just quoting Rex.
Find fives. Find fives.
Fives.
Yeah.
And it was just so. Oh, I loved it. It's beautiful, beautiful in so many ways.
From the sorry, so it's related to this, but I feel like that's all we need to talk about with that. From the announcements from Star Wars Celebration, what are you most excited for? What are the two? Because I've got two things that I picked up on that I was like, this they better do this right because this is going to be sick.
Remind me what all the announcements were, because I briefly
God,
looked
not off
at
the top
them.
of my head. That's why I said, what's the one that stuck out to you? Because
Right,
I don't remember all of them.
I'm going to pull up the Star Wars Celebration announcements.
So okay, I'll start with my two then. The Darth Maul TV series, the in Clone Wars animated style. Oh, that's gonna. Sam Witwer.
Have they got Sam Witwer for that?
Yeah.
Good,
so you know it's going to be good. You know it's going to be good when you got Sam. So I'm excited for that. And also just Ryan Gosling, the Jedi with the Jedi Starfighter TV series.
Ooh, I like
that's
some of
going to
that.
with Ryan Gosling starring in it. As the lead. That's going to be sick. They better get that right because that has the potential to be so good.
This is interesting though. Do you know when it's set?
When is it set?
It's set after Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
So I'm interested to see what a post Rise of Skywalker world looks like, because we've never seen that.
I have no expectation for it. Yeah,
that's actually bummed me out a bit. Honestly, I was kind of hoping for like a prequel,
like a Jedi Starfighter thing, like between Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. Yeah, that'd be cool.
or even just like the original films. Like I would love to see like essentially what would be like a Wedge Antilles series.
That'd be cool.
With Ryan Gosling.
Wedge Antilles series would be sick. But yeah, those are the two things I picked up on that I'm like, this has a potential to be insane.
I mean, I kind of feel like they missed a trick. I would have loved to have seen a Clone Wars Jedi Starfighter series, culminating with him dying in Order 66. That had an extra scene to Order 66.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. No, but I'm excited for it. I've got no expectation for it, but I'm happy it's happening.
Well, Jon Favreau's The Mandalorian and Grogu movie excites me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because, you know, it may be bad, but I love Grogu and I love The Mandalorian. I'm a bit sad, though, because they had that kind of perfect ending. So I'm kind of interested.
They did,
I'm kind of interested how this is going to go. If they do it well, it will be really good. If they do it badly, it's not gonna be good.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna. I don't want to send out any bad omens, but I'm gonna predict. I think it's gonna bomb. You know, actually, like I don't think that film's gonna do well because obviously I know Mandalorian is typically very well received and most people like it, have watched it, but like considering it's not like a mainline film, it's just kind of I don't know what the contents of that film will be.
I think if they called it The Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, like 1 million people would go see it.
That's true.
That's true. Because majority of people don't know the name Grogu.
They should put that on the posters. Just have Mandalorian and Grogu, cross out Grogu on the posters.
Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda.
Yeah. But I just don't think anyone's gonna. I think it's gonna be a solo. I don't think anyone's gonna watch it. And it doesn't mean it'll be a bad film. I just don't think it'll bomb. The audience,
that's fair enough.
Are you looking forward to Ahsoka season 2 though, Nick?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Same here. And then Visions season 3 has been announced. I mean, I kind of like Visions is sort of.
I liked it as well. It's good.
I like how you get those little individual series. You know, they have nothing to do with it. None of them are canon, but they're all like their own individual stories. And Visions presents The Ninth Jedi, a longer form Star Wars Vision story focusing on Lakara, set to premiere on Disney Plus in 2026. So that's
I remember what I was going to say. Sorry.
Okay.
This is what you were saying about most people enjoying the Mandalorian. I think after Mandalorian season 3, people started to get, because it just felt a bit rushed and it was a little bit like, okay, what's going on here? And it came to a bit of an anticlimactic ending. That's all. But I enjoyed it. That's people's arguments for not enjoying it. Mandalorian season 2 is the best Star Wars content out there because of the reasons we've spoken about previously. You don't need to know hugely what's going on. You can even pick it up without watching season 1, that I've noticed, and you can kind of get it quite quickly. And it's interesting to watch for an outsider Star Wars viewer. But when you really analyze of what's in there for the Star Wars fans, Stiffy activated. Like it's a brilliant piece of Star Wars content, Mandalorian season 2, for all the reasons we've explained here today. But yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Anyway, I pretty much said anything I want to say on the subjects we've gone through today. But yeah,
can I just say what I'm really excited for?
No.
Apparently, in Ahsoka season 2, Zeb's going to be in it.
Yes, he is. And the final fight is going to be Admiral Akbar versus Admiral Thrawn. In a
fist fight?
No, not in a fist fight. In a space
strategic
battle.
Okay,
it's going to be that's going to be so good.
Okay, now that I'm excited for, because obviously we've never really seen Akbar like do anything, and maybe in the comics there's more.
We've seen him do that.
Apart from like it's a trap.
Yeah.
But we don't know like if he's like. I think he appears in Clone Wars and helps the prince escape. I think that's Akbar.
He's known to be a master military strategist in the Mon Calamari trajectory in the Clone Wars. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd be interested to really see. I mean that. Okay, that's that. Oh,
he's literally a mollusk. Or a closed clam.
Nothing coming out. What's coming out this year for Star Wars then? Because everything else seems
loads
says
of mollusks,
2026.
Loads of mollusks, loads of octopus. Like people who think hard.
You can't tame them. You can't tame.
You can't tame the squid in there. No, you can't do it.
Where have you guys heard this? I've never heard this saying.
These are real sayings, man. Have you not heard them before?
They?
Yeah, I'm sure Sarah's heard them.
Well, she's fallen asleep on the couch next to me, so that's
okay. I'm sure if you asked her, she'd say that you're such a mollusk. It's like hard out of shell. Yeah,
Sarah, you were such a mollusk. She's like, what? I've just woken her up. She's like, what?
Tell her you can't tame a squid.
You can't tame a squid, Sarah. No, you can't. Oh, she has heard that saying, apparently.
Yeah, there you go.
I know we have basically come to the end. However, do you want to just do a quick, like, personal updates or anything, or are we just like?
I'm okay to do a personal update. I'm feeling in a great place for a change. I got to go on a motion capture course.
Nice one, well done, buddy.
And it was the coolest thing I've ever done. And I made some really great new friends. I met my good friend Jamie, who's a streamer. Shout out to the Big Fat Celestial and his stream. They're really really awesome. And yeah, I know, right? And I've never met any. I mean, have you guys seen How to Train Your Dragon? I think you have, haven't you? His natural speaking voice is Stoic the Vast. That is how he sounds. Yeah, that's his natural speaking voice.
That's very cool.
And he started quoting How to Train Your Dragon to me. I'm like, and I was just like, but he's such a fantastic voice actor, and you know
that's amazing.
It was so fun because we got to use the motion cap software, and everyone's being really secretive about him, and so is Jamie. Like, I've got a secret project I'm not allowed to talk about, and they were sort of all just nodding, like, yeah, we're not allowed to talk about. No, not allowed.
Oh, well, good job you're saying it on a podcast, then, isn't it? Sending it out to the world. I think we're gonna have to edit that bit out, just out of respect for your friend.
Yeah, we'll do that. But he's awesome, and he's going to be helping me get some new show reels done. And hopefully start breaking properly into the voice acting industry. And also doing that mocap course, I got to meet the guys that work there, and they're hiring quite often apparently. And they get people that have been on their course to do it, that live locally. And nice. I live in Slough, which is an hour train. So
awesome.
Fingers crossed I could start being the lightsaber in some of the latest Star Wars video games or something, I don't know. Or just the swordman in like the next Baldur's Gate, I don't know.
Yeah,
because they make Baldur's Gate there. That was really cool.
Oh, that is cool.
So yes, that is where I am right now. But I'm still teaching.
Good to hear you're doing well, though. That's good.
Right, over to you guys.
Go on, Joe.
I'm now unemployed, which is technically a good or bad thing, depending on how you look at it. It's kind of good because it kind of gives me the opportunity to actually go into something that I want to do. But it's bad, obviously.
Just to confirm, it was your choice. It was your choice. You weren't fired.
I didn't get made redundant or anything like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see in the next couple of episodes. Hopefully, I'm doing well, or I just won't be in the next episodes because I'm homeless and I'm living on your street corner. But just kind of, I want to, I don't know, pat myself on the back today. I'm pretty happy. I did a 5K run.
Woo!
Nice, well done.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool,
I haven't like actually done a 5K in, I don't know, 15 years. I think it was 15 when I last ran, and I got my PB. I actually beat my time, my best time from when I was running. Now when like I'm not particularly sporty. But yeah, I'm pretty chuffed with myself. I haven't actually.
Hold on, man. That's cool.
Thank you. Basically, as soon as I got back, we started recording this podcast. So there's a good chance that I'll get out of this chair and just collapse. In my legs, I can feel it already. They're really kind of seizing up right now. How about you, Nick? How you doing?
Let's not talk about it. I turned 29. There you go.
I also turned 29.
And I turned 30. Yay! Rapidly aging.
I'm finally in Devon permanently. I made the mistake of listening to my parents' advice and just do this 1-2 day job week still at home so that you can still earn some money. Like all of the money that I earned from that has gone to petrol to getting back because it's been over 50 quid a week.
Yeah.
To drive back since October, since I half moved down here, and it's just, and I haven't been able to get another job because I've been away for half the week, and now I'm in a position where I've got a job down here 1 day a week, but I need money now, and I keep going into every day I've been going into places and just being like, "Are you hiring? Here's my CV," and I've not had a single phone call yet. So things are not great right now, but hopefully it'll be better by the next time we film a podcast.
You should share this podcast, support us, watch our streams.
Please. Yes, share that we're doing.
Please.
If you enjoy this conversation we've had, please, do you want to do the outro, Joe?
Let us know in the comments what you'd like us to cover next. Thank you for joining us today. We are It Starts With Star Wars. Be sure to follow Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe here on YouTube. And until next time, may the Force be with you.
See you later, people.